Welcome to Taoist Secrets, The Great Awakening, a podcast by practicing disciples of Taoism at the Temple of Original Simplicity. This is episode 3. And yes, we've made a slight title change to better reflect our discussion of the various branches of our Taoist discipline. Today, Grand Master Alex Anatole joins Master Richard Percuoco, David Wright, and Peter LaFarge in their discussion about mirrors and their uses in Taoist meditation and rituals. Along the way, we managed to pick up a few other topics. Thank you for joining us. Today we have the honor of having Grand Master Alex Anatole, and we have Master Richard Percuoco, and we have David Wright, and myself, Peter LaFarge. And today we're going to be discussing mirrors and how they pertain to meditation. Rick's going to read a passage from the Fox book, Tao of Celestial Foxes.
Magic mirrors were used as tools for exorcism of malevolent spirits by Chinese shamans for generations. We explained in the first volume of Tao of Celestial Foxes, The Way to Immortality, there was a parable where a Taoist doctor uses the mirror to exhibit power over the malevolent spirits that are causing a mess in this ancient town. So this is the parable of rats infesting the public roads. As well-armed highwaymen, we hear in the following legend. In the first year of the Wen Su period, the roads to Chang'an were infested by a gang of robbers who concealed themselves in the daytime and operated during the night. Every now and again, itinerant strangers were murdered without a trace of the perpetrators being discovered next day, which disheartened the people so much that they dared not set out in the morning, even though inns might be reached in the evening. When the matter reached the ears of a certain Taoist doctor who lodged there in an inn, he said to the crowd, "To be sure, these are no men, they must be specters." In the dead of night, he provided himself with an antique looking glass, a mirror, and took his post by the roadside to look out for them. On a sudden, a troop of young men appeared, fully armed and accoutred. "Who stands there by the road?" They shouted with one more voice at the Taoist, "Do you not care for your life?" But the doctor let his mirror shine upon them, with the result that they flung down weapons and shields and ran off. For some 5 or 7 miles, the doctor pursued them with spells and formulas until they all ran into a big hole in the ground. He kept watch over it till the morning came, and then returning to the inn, summoned the people to dig up the hole. It was found to contain over 100 big rats, which as they swarmed out, was slain to the last. The evil was thereby ended. So the Taoist doctor used the magic shamanistic mirror to show the true form of these malevolent spirits who were torturing the townspeople.
Thank you, Rick. Shaman mirrors are a very important part of their toolkit, their uniform. And they wear them on their gowns, they wear them on the outside, covering their front and their back, their chakras. They use them to ward off evil spirits and also to help cure their patients.
There is a multifunctional of this actually instrument, let's call it instrument. It's an instrument of celestial forces, because the shaman mirror, it could be entrance to another dimension. If you go to the celestial fox temples in Japan, for instance, Fushimi Inari, you can see each altar as, of course, the 2 spirits of the foxes, and on the middle always a mirror, metal mirror. So it is entrance, it's a portal, entrance and exit from one dimension to another one. It's like a torii or gates, painted gates, miles and miles. You walk, it's psychologically you really move from point A to point B. And usually on the top of the mount is a little altar or a little small temple. So when your journey is over, then you see the other gods and you can pray. So physically you move from one point A to point B, and then mentally you can travel to another dimension, your spirit. So the mirror makes actually, it's a multifunctional instrument. So that's the role of the mirror. And of course also the mirror, actually, if person, individual has a mirror or himself or herself, it's beginning to be a personal protection, because that's a small mirror reflect the chi of the individual, and this chi of individual, it's a microcosmos of cosmic energies, and burning diagrams, magic diagrams, communication with spirits, it becoming to be the portal for individual to communicate with the spirits from another dimension or travel there. So it is a protection and a path to another world.
Thank you. For us, when we do our travel meditation, you've given us each a small disc mirror with your diagram on the back of it, which we hold or we put on our chest or near our heart while we meditate, laying flat on the floor. And we, just like we use the candle when we're doing burn-in meditation, we take this mirror with us in our meditation, both physically and in the meditation, and we use it when we find ourselves, well, originally we started using it when we found ourselves in a situation that was difficult or dangerous and we needed a way to escape, basically, or get out of this situation. And then over the years, as we became more proficient with these mirrors, we found different uses for them. We could use them as weapons. We could use them to cleanse ourselves, purge ourselves of spirits, perhaps, as part of a way of cleaning ourselves. There were various ways that we continue to use them as a portal in our meditation.
Protection is one of the major aspects that the Grand Master mentioned for the shamanistic mirrors. Shamans in Mongolia create almost an armor from these mirrors. Usually the mirrors protect their heart, their liver, and their two kidneys. There's major mirrors that protect these organs as they go to do metaphysical battle with, malevolent spirits. In some cases, we've seen a whole poncho made from these shamanistic mirrors, and the mirror reflects this negative energy and allows a lot of times the capturing of these malevolent forces within the mirror. It's another aspect to this protection. It reflects negative energy from the shaman's body itself and from his organs, so it protects him. And then he can use the mirrors to expel the malevolent forces from the patient and actually capture them within the mirror. And then there's a cleansing process for these mirrors where the malevolent spirits are expelled.
And these shaman mirrors, if you've never seen one before, it's not what you would typically see in a house where a glass pane basically with the aluminum backing. That's what we are used to in the modern world. But these are highly polished type of metal, whether it's brass or copper, and that's what they call the mirror. And it's usually a concave disc where there's sometimes a dimple at the end of one of them. So we use the term mirror, and it may not exactly be what you're visualizing if you've never seen one of these shamanistic mirrors before.
As we said before, the mirror, it's a multifunctional amulet. Also, like some individuals, sometimes we say this man out of luck. Whatever person does, it turns actually to some kind of terrible disaster. And we think, why has it happened? Let's say this individual would like to change his life, his fate. Again, what is the diagram? Master makes diagram, magic diagram. What is a magic diagram? Those lines which Master creates, it's a basically channel of information. So certain things, if we want to do, so Master makes certain lines, drawing it, then putting his chi over there. And that's already, it's a portal. So that's why the mirrors which I gave you, my disciples, it's already have a portal. So if someone want to change the fate, they can use the portal, communication with other dimension. Otherwise, it's just the high energy. It can't listen, can't hear it. There is no road between individual and a source of energy. So if we look at this like a kind of little individual, want to scream and yell, help, 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 but nobody can hear it. What is actually mirror does, magic mirror? It creates this channel when high energy can hear the scream. And again, if individual deserve it, can get help, but at least the communication will be there. The path will be there. So it's another very important road to change misfortune to fortune. At least to knock to the door of the great ultimate. And the spirits or gods at least can hear the knock, and then it can open the door. If individual deserve it, of course. So it's another use of mirrors. Again, like I said, it's a multifunctional, instrument. It's a vulgar thing. It's multifunctional amulet, multifunctional magic instrument. Can do this and that and that. And it's one of the most important things, change the fate.
The configuration of the mirror that Pete spoke about is also very interesting. One side is smooth and polished as a reflective surface, and the other side, as Pete said, has like a small dimple, and the dimple is used to actually affix it to clothing, almost like a button. The idea is that this little dimple is used to attach it to the clothing like a button. And one side of the mirror, the part that goes towards the body, most times has particular classic Taoist motifs of protection. Many times it's metaphysical or mythical beasts that have some kind of power in the celestial realm. Other times it's the magic Taoist diagrams themselves, as the master just explained. So those particular protective aspects go towards the body, and they're based on this dimple, they're affixed to the clothing, like over your heart. And then the reflective surface faces out and reflects this negative energy from the heart or from the body.
And coming back to what Alex said about this multi-purpose of the mirror, it acts as a portal or a bridge to another dimension, but also it acts as a barrier. Here in the temple upstairs, we have the fox altar, and it has a mirror, and that also helps, as well as all the gods and spirits we have in the temple. They help to ward off the malevolent spirits that may otherwise come here, who may otherwise be attracted to coming here. So it acts as a gate, as a barrier, as something to, just as when the shaman wears the mirrors, it also acts as something to ward off the malevolent spirits. So it has this multi-purpose aspect in that manner.
Yeah, it's like an armor. The idea of the armor, so that the arrows will be deflected from the body. That's the idea of any armor. So the blades, the spear, the sword will be deflected.
I was thinking of, we had a visit here at the temple many years ago from one of Alex's teachers who was talking about the use of the mirrors as part of feng shui, and that he himself had set them up, for example, to reflect bad energy from an unpleasant neighbor back at that neighbor. I'm not sure what the net result of this was, but I don't think it was good for the neighbor.
No, neighbor stopped bothering my teacher. Let's put it this way.
It's very interesting, as Pete had said, I think in one of the earlier podcasts, that several other cultures at the time of death with the spirit cover the mirrors in the room, because the mirror is a portal to the other dimension. and they don't want the spirit to leave on this journey before it's ready, and they don't want other spirits or malevolent spirits to enter through that mirror. So you need to be very careful if you have mirrors in your home, because they are in fact portals to the other dimension. And many times when the spirit is transitioning at the time of death, the mirrors are covered with black cloth. And this isn't a Taoist practice, it's resident in many other world religions.
This is very true. And they don't want the spirit to be confused and get trapped in that mirror, or they don't want the spirit to come through the mirror when they should be going elsewhere after their moment of death. And you can look yourself and see what other aspects mirrors are involved in other cultures. When there's the old superstition that if you break a mirror, you have 7 years bad luck. And the origins of that was that they believed that your soul was shattered when you broke a mirror, because they believed in this mirror having some kind of essence of your soul in there. So people can easily look at this and say it's superstition, which is how people will disregard information that doesn't quite fit into their way of thinking. But this is thousands of years old. This idea of breaking a mirror is not good because it can affect your soul.
I thought it was very interesting. Years ago, the Grand Master explained to us about the mirror being a portal to other dimensions. And they said that many times malevolent entities come through this mirror, and then people believe that if they break the mirror, they can stop the influx of these spirits, these malevolent spirits. But what happens is when you take a mirror and break it into several small pieces, then you in fact have several portals for the spirits to come through. So this breaking of the mirror many times goes with this idea of, instead of having one portal that the spirits can come through, now there's 1,000 portals if it's fragmented into 1,000 pieces.
It's like the Hydra, the head of the Hydra.
No, it's just idea of the mirrors is such an important thing that mirror itself could be used for individual, actually for opening the third eye. So in certain meditation, when you put the blessed by master mirror and you're using in a certain angle, which is like a beam goes to the third eye of individual, and then purify the Hua area. Hua area, it's 1,000 temples in a round head. And then confusion gone. It's a basic purification from confusion. So it's another very important part of the mirror.
I've seen statues, Buddhas, for example, with mirrors on the third eye.
That's correct. That's David correct, yes.
Is that the idea of this mystic vision, Alex?
If brain of the individual, vision of reality is blocked, so then it's totally useless. Then individual lives in a fantasy world. Reality is still, let reality be reality, like ancient Chinese proverb said. And if we don't see reality, no matter how much we fantasize, it's still reality will get us. Yeah, it can take years and years. The fantasies, especially if we live in a high civilized society like Europe or United States, we can get away with fantasies for a long time, but eventually we're going to get punished. Because again, like I said, there is a breach. There is a reality, and there is the fantasies, desires of the mind. Breach is thin, gets useless, just breaking. So the mirror is really, it's a multifunction amulet, which if we use it wisely, we can get a lot of benefits from this.
In fact, that brings up the point of when I first got my mirror when I was doing the traveling meditation. You have to learn how to use it. That when you first get it, you think, well, this is nice. What can I do with it? What should I do with it? What should I not do with it? Even becoming comfortable with it, learning, for example, all right, I can use this I can transport myself by walking through it. I can go to some place that I want to go. That took me a little while to adjust to, or to discover. One time I was in one of these traveling meditations, I was being attacked by some malevolent thing, and I used the mirror as a defense. And I just directed this thing that was attacking. I forced it through the mirror and directed it off someplace else where it couldn't hurt me. But these are the things you have to learn how to do.
I think, Rick, you were recounting a time that you were using a mirror in a meditation, that you were able to take elements from somewhere and use it against these malevolent forces that were attacking you.
Yes. I had some interactions in particular meditations with the god of thunder, the Taoist god of thunder. He showed me in the meditation how to bring certain weather anomalies through the mirror to be used at the time when I needed them. So if you had ever seen, for instance, like a bolt of lightning shatter a tree, you could bring this bolt of lightning through the mirror through time and use this. So you could create blizzards, you could create lightning, you could bring these weather anomalies through the mirror to be used at the time when you needed them in the meditation. And this has been a very useful tool to basically wield the power of the gods and the spirits through this metaphysical icon of the mirror.
In a lot of cultures, as totally different actually, again, geographic areas, from South America to Siberia, when person die, cover mirrors with a black cloth. Reason is very simple. Well, actually, so many people ask me why they do that. I was surprised. I thought it's a common knowledge, but it's not. When person died in the spirit, the actually Hun goes to transformation, and Po, other 7 parts, postnatal, goes to the yellow source in the bottom of the earth. But anyway, the spirit, because that spirit just gone, a lot of times spirit confused. In the first few days doesn't understand it's dead. Confusion comes, the spirit lost material body. Try to communicate with people who he loved. Try to talk. Nobody see him, nobody actually feel it, nobody talk. And it comes unbelievable fear of the soul, of the dead soul. So by covering the mirrors, so soul actually wants to come back to what soul knows. And if portal is open, soul comes back. It comes back to the apartment, to the house where they lived. I can look at the people, still being terribly confused. And so that's why, first of all, the mirrors closed by black cloth. So even spirit wants to come back, portal closed. Knocking to the door is not open. Then no choice, the spirit have to go to the bar door, through the corridor to another dimension. So the blocking the mirrors, you basically tell spirit, that's it, you're done with this dimension. Move on, go further. But if you not close the mirrors, spirit will come back and stay for a long time, beginning to be angry, because confusion, first of all, confusion. Oh, that's my wife, that's my friends, that's my children. I love them. And what is it? They don't want to see me? They don't want to hear me? That's what spirit thinks. Then comes anger. And then a spirit start to harm people who he loved, he or she. So that's what actually cult of ancestors in many cultures, in Chinese cultures, really cult of ancestors, but any culture, it just please them and tell them, listen, we still love you. We don't see it, we don't hear you, but we love you. We give you sacrifice certain things, and that's a fear. A lot of times the love to ancestors built on a healthy fear that ancestors will punish people who they love. And the mirrors playing the great role with this. That's why first thing was done when person died, close the mirrors. You're done with this dimension, we'll love you, we'll do our best. If we have certain amount of money, we'll hire the lamas, we'll hire the priest, they'll help you go to the corridor, and go to another dimension, to another test. But don't come back here. Nothing good is here. We are different tribe. We're tribe of the life people. And this is tribe of spirits. So that's another function of the mirror.
There's also a danger to mirrors too, in that people who may not know what they're doing and they're just playing around, maybe they see an old mirror they like and they bring it home, and there may be something in that mirror that they shouldn't be messing around with. Or they may have read a book about supernatural things, and I've heard of people messing around with candles in front of the mirror and staring into it, and you're just opening yourself up to all sorts of dangers, that you're opening a door that you can't necessarily shut. And it's something that you should be very, very cautious and wary of trying to fool around with. So if you're hearing this podcast and you're thinking, oh, mirrors might be interesting to fool around with, I would strongly suggest that you don't do anything that's gearing towards the occult, especially if you have no idea what you're doing, if you're just picking up things on the internet.
You're absolutely correct, Peter. But again, it's a very simple concept, which most people don't think about. If you have a toothache, you go to dentist. You don't go to your friend and say, please take the file and try to do something, or part of pliers, Yeah, you go to, if you build a house, you go to architect and structural engineer. So this is a really very wrong concept. That if you want to fly the helicopter, you get actually a good helicopter pilot. But people think, oh, so supernatural gates, it's so easy to operate. Oh no, this is actually one of the most dangerous things. You have to go to the teacher, to the shaman, basically to the priest, who knows how to operate with the amulets, how to operate with the magic mirrors, because the actual negligence with this could bring terrible results.
I think in this culture, the film industry, the entertainment industry, has done a great disservice by making all these horror films, and people watch them and they think it's so entertaining. I know people who would say, let's go ghost hunting. I hear there's a haunted house here. Let's go drive to this place and go ghost hunting. And fortunately, I was smart enough after your training saying, no, let's not go there. Let's not go swim in waters where there are sharks, because you don't know what you're dealing with. That's insane. Why are you doing that? But people have this entertainment aspect of, that's why they pursue this, because they think they can handle whatever it is that they're fooling around with.
We spoke in some of the earlier podcasts about the dangers of meditation and the fact that you need to, under the tutelage of an ordained master, learn the principles of meditation. The meditation mirrors that we use have been blessed and consecrated by Grand Master Anatole. They have his personal diagram and signature on the back. So when we traverse dimensions in meditation, we do so through the chi of our master. It's his permission that allows us to go through the mirrors and to navigate to these other dimensions. If you don't have the permission of an ordained master, his diagram on the mirrors, it's very, very dangerous for you. You're not going as sanctioned or protected to these other dimensions, and that can be incredibly detrimental to you. You can bring things back through the mirror with you, and they can be with you after that, and those malevolent entities can erode your health and your mental state. It's a very, very dangerous thing without the proper protective diagrams in place.
Yes, Master Richard is absolutely correct. Ignorance is not bliss. So it's very dangerous to play with the firearms if you don't know how to use it. It's a very dangerous, again, to fly plane if you don't know to do that. It's a very dangerous to get in a car if you don't know how to drive it or learn it through some kind of manual. It's a very dangerous to make a surgery even if you read some kind of medical book. So it's very important to understand, again, come back limitations. And if we want to learn, individuals should learn. But you shouldn't really jump to some kind of conclusion because she feels like it.
A lot of this information, or all the information that comes from the shamans, has been an oral tradition too. There's not like there's a university where they have these books that they just read and they become a shaman. This is information for thousands of years that's been passed down as an oral tradition, and the master teaches the disciple through pragmatic lessons, basically, that they can observe, and through the communication of the master and student, so that the information can be imparted upon them. So this is not just something you can look up in a book or read on the internet to become a shaman or to become one who can delve in the world of metaphysics. This is something that needs to be taught orally, in person, so that you can get this information the adequate way, the appropriate way.
Well, it's a hands-on thing. I mean, you cannot learn how to operate a table saw just by reading the manual. You actually have to do it. And you'd be much better off having somebody who already knew how to use one show you.
Somebody who has all 10 fingers.
Yeah, someone with all 10 fingers, that's a strong hint that they have some idea what they're doing.
Well, certain online courses probably is not going to work out when it comes to such a dangerous things like communication with another dimension and world of spirits. So we have to be very careful, and we should know what we're doing and have a great instructor, this teacher.
I know one of the major uses of the mirrors is for purification and purging. And Grand Master Alex spoke about that earlier today. As part of the New Year ceremonies that we do every year, there's many rituals that are involved in this New Year's ceremony that happens at the 2-week period of Chinese New Year's every year in the Temple of Original Simplicity here. And one of the major purification ceremonies for the congregation involves Master Anatole, where he dresses in his shamanistic armor, and for each person he touches on their head one of these magic metaphysical mirrors. And the idea is that the cosmology of Tao, there's thousands of spirits that are constantly going through our body from other dimensions. Because of this idea of parallel dimensions, this space exists, the same space exists in many parallel dimensions. So at any one time, hundreds and thousands of spirits are going through our body, in our mind, in our brain. And some of these spirits are helper spirits for us. They help us and foster us. Other spirits are these malevolent entities. So by touching the metaphysical mirror to the top of the congregation member's head, it actually captures these malevolent entities. It clarifies and purges their mind from these malevolent influences. And then they're captured in the mirror. And then Master Anatole takes all these mirrors, he has one for each congregation member, and does a purification ceremony to expel these malevolent influences that he's captured in the mirror. So this purging and purification ceremony is one of the major uses that we use for clarity of mind during the Chinese New Year ceremony.
And you pointed out something very important, is that he has one mirror per individual person, and afterwards it's very important that that mirror is not touched by anyone else. In fact, I believe, Alex, you have a ritual for purifying those mirrors afterwards. So much like nuclear waste, you want to not have that exposed to you. You need to clean it from that mirror so that no one can become sick.
Yeah, there is a ceremony when a mirror is used. It's a ceremony of purification, and they could be used again next year or next ceremony. So it's really a very important part.
Water can also be considered as a mirror. There's many cultures have used water as a type of mirror, as a type of meditation tool or instrument. I believe, done it several times here, but not part of our regular curriculum. But in other cultures, they also use this. They have different names for it. But we do have our time pool, which is a body of reflective water that we use in our meditation as well. That can also be considered a form of portal, because we're going through this time pool to another time and another place. It's yet another portal and another example of this reflective surface.
Yeah, every portal actually has a multi-purpose. So when soul travel through the portal, it's either to get spiritually richer or dissolve. That's the another aspect of that.
I'm sorry, sir, when you say dissolve, do you mean when it goes to the bardo or when I'm not sure what you mean by dissolve.
When soul getting confused in another world, when soul totally depends from the body function, it will be dissolved. So what does it mean? Even Plato basically mentioned it. In my book, Taoist Celestial Foxes, I did explain it. So in mortal life, we love actually food, we love socializing, we love sex. Everything depends from the body. So the body, all actual functions of the everyday life somehow connected with body. When body is gone and soul not trained to spiritual teachings, even go through the border, through the corridor to another dimension, soul just doesn't know what to do with this. There's no food, there's no good coffee, there's no bottle of alcohol, there's no women. So the soul just getting confused and just dissolve. That's what it is.
Doesn't belong.
Yeah. So that's what the most important part during our lifetime in this dimension, having the mortal body to train our soul spiritually, get used to live without body. With body, of course, as long as we have it, and without. That's why actually one of the biggest blessing in ancient culture was a long age, because the longer we live, wise people can train the soul to live without the body. Of course, the primitive individual never understand it, and they can live 200 years old and still enjoy the body. But after body, like old clothes, will be gone, done, soul doesn't know what to do. It's hanging around for a while and then dissolve. It's interesting. That's a Taoist belief, and a belief in Taoist alchemy. But even if you read Plato, that's one of his tenets. Even Plato, 2,500 years ago, mentioned this phenomenon.
When we were working on the 3 volumes of the Tao of Celestial Foxes, we spoke about life after death and what that means from a Taoist perspective. And it was very interesting to me what Grand Master Anatole spoke about. And the idea is that life after death is existence without a physical body. We spoke about this. It's the idea of almost like a brain in a jar. So there's no physical body associated with your intellect. If during life you didn't train yourself intellectually or spiritually to have some kind of full life through communication, through the fostering of philosophical principles, through the discussion of things that are interesting in intellectual development, then at the time of death, when your physical body no longer exists, if you don't have some kind of rich experience from intellectual interactions, why would you exist without a physical body? If all of the richness of life had to do with eating and drinking and sexual pleasures, all some kind of interactions with the physical body, why would you exist when only your intellect and the character of your spirituality is the only thing that you can take with you after? If you have no richness of life and experience without a physical body, you will dissolve in the afterlife.
You'll be a foreign body in the metaphysical world.
You'll have no purpose. And I thought this was so interesting, that life after death is life without a physical body. And if you haven't been intellectually trained to separate your physical body and your spiritual body, then why would you exist? We spoke about this before, that meditation is a type of micro-death. The Grand Master calls meditation micro-death, and the idea that is it on a periodic or weekly basis. You separate your soul and body, and you train that separation. So at the time of death, the ultimate separation will go, and it won't be a foreign experience for you.
You're training this muscle of adaptation, so that when now ultimately we haven't experienced actual death, so it's going to be more different than our meditation, but we're working that ability to adapt to different situations outside of this material world. It's this ability to be able to, when we do finally pass away, to understand that we are somewhere else and we need to adapt to whatever that particular universe is like, that dimension that we're in, so that we don't go into this total shock and allow ourselves to be dissolved.
Well, we've, I think, talked about the unpredictability of meditation sometimes, that you find yourself in situations you never anticipated, never even thought about, and that's where the adaptation comes in, is you have to be able to say, all right, I'm here in a place I don't know, in a situation I don't know, now what do I do? That kind of adaptation is exactly what you're talking about, that I'm sure that whatever you find at the Bardo is going to be even stranger, but at least you've had practice trying to cope with new situations and adjusting to them.
You're absolutely correct, David, but it's interesting. In this culture, word meditation, I believe, has a negative part, because what is meditation? You can ask almost anybody and say, I meditate every day. So what are you doing? Well, I'm sitting here. It's like when I was in Thailand, in Chiang Mai, in a temple. That was some Western guy, which, believe it or not, from Massachusetts. Yeah, I asked him, how did you get there? Because it's, and he said, well, I got on a train, but I don't speak Thai, I don't speak Chinese. I went somewhere. You know, it's, how long? I said, you sitting here? Oh, a couple days. And the monks bring me some food. But I'm really hungry, I'm really thirsty, it's good to hear. So, and I asked him, what are you doing? He's sitting in front of the Buddha. I'm meditating, he said. I said, how you do it? Teach me, please. And there's basically a fairly young guy, he was like 20-something years old. Well, he said, I looked at Buddha, I'm thinking about, I asked him, what do you think about? About different things. I think about my mom. I think about good old USA. I think how I can get back if I'll ever get back. And I'm emptying my mind sometimes. I said, wow, this is good. How you do that? Well, he said, I try, don't think about food. It's kind of a humorous thing, but in reality, it's really very sad. Most people understand meditation sitting, looking, staring at the Buddha or another God, and thoughts coming back and forth, or something relaxing, almost falling asleep. On the reality, meditation, as we all know, it's work. It's visualization of something which should be visualized. It's again a matter of discipline, and then meditation works. If we're just sitting on a crossed legs and staring at an image of God, I don't think it's do a lot. And that's what, again, it's what is meditation has to be explained. Preparation for soul to live without body goes only through proper meditative technique. And when actually it's done during our life here, that's actually a trick to have body, at the same time train yourself through meditative technique to be without body also. Then when body is gone, the soul is trained. If we think about soul, it's just we have to train it, like we have to train muscle. You don't train muscle, you don't train biceps, triceps, It's beginning to fly, flabby, just weak. Yes,
Flabby soul.
flabby soul. So the flabby soul, yeah, actually, it's a good term, Peter. Yeah, it's become to a flabby soul, and then it just going to another dimension, just dissolve.
Doesn't operate.
Yeah, we did, I think, try to emphasize that in some of our earlier podcasts, that meditation is not simple and it is work. I don't want to make it sound like it's arduous, backbreaking work, but that it requires effort and that it requires also a structure to it, that we're not just sitting around staring at something. We are trying to visualize specific things for specific reasons. And both in the burning meditation and in the traveling meditation, we have certain things we're supposed to do. In the traveling meditation, you're supposed to visualize your mirror opening and going through it. You're supposed to visualize going to your castle, doing your fears and worries meditation, things like this. And you're supposed to do this every time. And it's in the burning meditation, you have certain techniques that you may find work better than others, but that you have to do them, you have to cultivate them, and you have to practice them. Or they're not going, you'll have a flabby soul because it hasn't done any work. I really like that term, actually.
Or
I
a
like
flabby
this term.
intellect.
Flabby intellect. You're right, Richard. You're right.
Flabby body, flabby intellect, flabby soul. All these things need to be trained and fostered and developed, cultivated.
Cultivated. That's absolutely correct. It's like a muscle. It's like a mind. It's also what Master Richard said. It's a one more thing. Vision of reality has to be cultivated, because through channels of mass communication, through TV, that's the biggest one, we're giving kind of signals or ideas. Well, life is basically a limitless thing, and no limits, sky is the limit, and never too late. Well, all the things which I was writing in Truth of Tao. But that's such a false values. And if we follow them, and most people do, because in this modern society we lost institution of teachers. And TV, for instance, instead of just instrument of entertainment, which should be taken, it's become to be teacher. The pretty woman become to be the hero, the prostitute becoming to be actually some kind of noble thing, super wealthy man actually falling on his knees and ask prostitute to be married. And prostitutes actually just give him the orders. It's either or. So in reality, it's not getting even closer. But look how many millions of women which actually they have, I call it detour of the mind from reality. And the millions other examples.
Cinderella has become the role model for many women, that they actually live their lives waiting for that miracle to send the Prince Charming along to take them away from whatever their life is. It's kind of sad, actually, that it's become their life.
And many times these unrealistic expectations bring the feelings of bitterness.
Because the results aren't what they expected.
Well, this goes right back to what we were talking about earlier with the lottery, or with other expectations that if we wish for something hard enough, it will simply fall into our laps. And that particular myth doesn't require effort. It merely requires buying something or sitting around wishing really hard. And to buy the book, I guess. And then when you sit around and wish really hard, and then things will come to you. And you didn't have to spend years and years meditating or learning to visualize or training yourself for any particular occupation. Whatever you desire will simply come to you without any real effort on your part. And that is a very unrealistic expectation. And to become bitter because it doesn't come about, well, that's a recipe for disaster.
That's correct. It's very simple, David, absolutely. It is simple. If someone believes in fantasy so hard and waiting for years and years when the fantasy will materialize, when you fantasize about Maserati for 24 years and then Maserati is not staying on your driveway, oh, you're getting angry. Or woman, actually, well, pretty woman. She got it, why I can't get it? I saw it on TV. Richard Gere, oh yeah, he's a rich fellow. And he fell on his knees. And actually the prostitute dictate to him also. Ultimatum, you marry me, or I'll go back to the streets and work as a prostitute. If you dissect the phenomenon, it's really not that fun, it's tragedy. It's just mind-disturbing thing. But when fantasies, bottom line, is not coming to reality, what comes after that? Anger. Oh, it didn't come. But that should come, individual thing. Why it should come, there's no answer. But it should, because everybody said, fantasize. Fantasy. Think about. Another synonym for fantasy is a concentrate on it. Concentrate on this idea. Because fantasy, and everybody understands fantasy, it's a little bit silly. But you concentrate on it. Concentrate on Maserati. Concentrate on $20 million, which will just come to your account somehow, magically. And the person concentrates so hard. Well, secrets, the book of secrets, idea of secrets, look on the TV. Everything will be fine. Just think about that. And nothing is easy to thinking. To think about that, I don't have to work hard. I don't have to really do anything. All I have to do, think, fantasize. And everything will come. But if it's not come, then it shoots back.
Minimal effort for maximum gain.
That's correct.
Years ago, the Grand Master spoke about this psychological phenomenon, positive mental attitude. And the idea was that if you visualize something in a positive way, it would happen. And what we spoke about was, how can your personal subjective attitude have any effect on the reality of the situation? Reality is what it is. The seasons rotate, day and night rotates. If I have some subjective viewpoint or wish that I don't want it to be night, but I'd rather it to be light at this time, it's not going to have any effect on the reality of things. Your positive mental attitude is a subjective viewpoint. That's your personal viewpoint. It has no effect on the reality of the situation whatsoever.
Now, if it causes you to take action, okay. But if you think that simply sitting and having a positive attitude is going to in any way really improve your situation, well, if you're sitting around being really positive, at least perhaps you're not crying, but it really isn't changing the external world at all.
Well, right now, my disciple David, actually, Mr. Wright, hit it right there. It's like an X, arrow, right, an X. Absolutely. It has to be action, positive action. And only action can bring positive results. Not just thinking. Positive thinking is a thinking. Positive fantasies, positive desires of the mind. No, you have to do something. You cannot sit actually in a chair and think about. That's what translation came. Actually, do nothing and everything will be gone. Everything will be fine, or wherever it is. But then actually we're going through translation. He said, no. Just do not interfere with anything else. Just take care of your own business. Yes, it sounds like egocentrism, but we call it healthy egocentrism. World is too big, problem is too huge for a little mortal individual who can get disease anytime, hit by the car. Just God knows what can happen with a poor little human being. And then one little human being has some kind of Napoleonic ideas to change the world, to change the dimension, being so fragile. The whole idea of non-interference is simple again. Take care of your own life if you can. Even this is impossible task. So that's idea again, fantasies again, and on one side of the bridges, and reality on the other.
From a positive mental attitude perspective, Grand Master Anatole spoke before, think positive, do positive. Some kind of psychological attitude without supporting action in your life is just some kind of fantasy. So the idea is think positive, do positive. You have to have some kind of action related to this attitude, to this psychology.
And the results are the most important thing. I had a spirit communicate to me recently about thoughts can be deceptive, words can be deceptive, and even actions can be deceptive. The most important thing is the results. So you could be doing something, you could be trying really hard to do something, taking action, but if results aren't what you're looking for, what the expected outcome is, then you need to change the course of action because you're going in the wrong direction.
Well, that's the power of our Lin Hun Therapy, or therapy of soul. Because a person, like for instance, we have this client who complain, oh, something wrong with all my life. I have a problem with the women. I have a problem with work with my boss. I have a problem with this and that. Just introducing to the Lin Hun Therapy, therapy of soul, explaining that person has to be closer to reality. And the result becoming to be phenomenal. The life is changing, again, from misfortune to fortune. Because to get the fortune, to get lucky, people have to work for it. It's not going to fall from the sky. It's work. It's using all principles of Taoism, all principles of Lin Hun Therapy. And when getting closer to reality, when individual can understand, oh, I can do that, and this is I cannot do yet, but I'll try little by little, then it comes peace of mind, and then comes a result.
The Lin Hun Therapy is a very interesting example, as we spoke about. Purification of the soul and intellect allows you to pray and meditate with clarity. So you interact with the gods in the other dimensions with some kind of clear perspective. I know you had said before that it's like preparing to go on a date. You have to clean yourself, you have to shower, you have to smell nice before you go. And interactions with the spirits and the spirit world also have to be done with clarity of mind and clarity of your chi energy. And this happens through the exorcism aspects of Lin Hun Therapy, the philosophical clarity that comes from studying the principles of the Tao, and the clarity of your soul and purging aspects that come from Fox exorcism. So these two aspects clarify your mind and allow you to interact with the great spirits in other dimensions in the right way.
Yeah, absolutely correct, Master Richard. That's correct.
Well, you made the point recently that clarity is not always a comfortable thing, because clarity, once you have it, often requires taking action. And again, there's action. Clarity without action may just make you unhappy because you realize there's something I should be doing and I'm not doing it. On the other hand, taking action can be painful, but it's necessary.
Yes, David, that's the payment for seeing reality. Because actually, yeah, clarity. It's a few weeks ago during meditation, my disciple David said, well, it's very hard actually. I got clarity, and it's a problem. And I told him, well, why? Because you have to take an action. If you see phenomenon clear, if all of a sudden you see something clear, you have to make a decision. If you deal with a woman, it doesn't work at all. And we fantasize. No, it will work. I'll do this and I'll do that. And I think, no, it doesn't work. So you have to make a decision. Either you have to really continue to please this lady, and maybe she'll appreciate it, or you have to say, that's it. I am moving on. So the same thing with the business. How many times I hear in my session of Lin Hun Therapy, it's like with the ladies, with the women, I want to get a rich husband. Of course, every woman should have a wealthy man who will support the family. I have to have it. And then again, when I try to explain to have it, It's a 30% of success, 70% to keep it, just to keep it. How many women getting fat after getting married? Or just said, I'm married, that's it, I'm done. Oh, no, no, no. Sometimes it works, most times not. So at the same time, even with the business, to make money, it's a one thing. To keep it, to save it, oh, that's another difficult problems. And that's what should be explained actually in our Lin Hun Therapy. To obtain something, to get something, it's a one thing. But to keep it, well, that's the hard work.
That's for everything. Love, respect, any kind of talent you've cultivated, you need to maintain it. Mozart needed to practice and play.
And if you made tons of money, you should wisely invest it and watch it every time.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Taoist Secrets, The Great Awakening. If you wish to learn more about Grand Master Alex Anatole, classical Taoism, and the Temple of Original Simplicity, please visit tao.org. That's tao.org. You can also visit our Facebook page at the Center of Traditional Taoist Studies. Please join us for our next episode when Rick, Dave, and Peter discuss castle meditations.